Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Yes, breaking news. 2 troopers on leave. Nearly 200 cases tossed. The case that set the wheels in motion for this.
Hundreds of new jobs making life-saving medicine all headed to our area. When we can expect production to begin.
And not the news they expected. President Trump says he's considering getting rid of FEMA as he visits hurricane-damaged western North Carolina right now. With breaking news, we want to tell you about this noon. 2 Highway Patrol troopers are on administrative leave. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. It started with an investigation into a deadly crash in October on Capitol Boulevard in Raleigh. The findings resulted in the Wake County District Attorney's Office dismissing 180 cases.
Chelsea Donovan just spoke with the district attorney and joins us now live at the Wake County Justice Center. Chelsea.
All right, so after speaking with District Attorney Lauren Freeman, she told me that she got word last month from someone within the SBI that had concerns about 2 of these troopers that responded to this deadly crash up on Capitol Boulevard. That crash happened on October 7th, and she found some information through dash cam and body cam video that the responding troopers' information may not have been entirely truthful and credible as to what happened within that crash. Now, this is video of that deadly crash on October 7th of last year. District Attorney Lauren Freeman says she saw evidence on dash and body camera video that may have indicated Trooper Garrett Maricario could have been providing misleading information. Now, Macario is 26 years old. He was hired on the force back in 2021. Freeman called him historically aggressive on driving while impaired cases, but as of this week, she's had to dismiss all of his cases. So that means all of his cases in which he brought about charges. This is close to 200 cases. Now, also, his supervisor, 40-year-old Matthew Morrison, has also been put on leave by the Highway Patrol.
I think absolutely we believe that credibility among law enforcement is essential to the work that we do on a daily basis. And, we need, in order to be able to seek justice, we've got to be able to trust our officers. And frankly, when we can't, it's disgusting, and it results in us not being able to move forward and hold people accountable.
Now, Freeman told me that she anticipates dismissing the majority of Sergeant Matthew Morrison's cases as well. He's not on the road as much as Trooper Macario, so she doesn't expect it's going to be a high number, like close to 180. This is an investigation that's just started. It's important to note, though, right now, neither of these troopers have been charged with any crimes. They're simply being investigated by the DA's office as well as the SBI. Live in downtown Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
And Chelsea will stay on top of that story for you on our evening news. Sunshine continues to melt any lingering snow across our area this afternoon. Let's check in with Elizabeth for a look at the weekend warm-up so many of us are looking forward to.
Our highs the last several days have been in the 30s, so today we're going to creep on up into the mid-40s, and then we'll repeat that on Saturday. Sunday, we're going to climb on up into the mid-50s, and so that begins our warm-up. Today, even though it will be a little warmer than yesterday in the mid-40s, the temperatures will fall quickly. We still have a number of mornings that are going to be really cold. If you're going to be out and about, it is a Friday. We're going to drop down to freezing between 7 and 8 o'clock this evening, and then on down into the 20s overnight. We're looking at an overnight low of around 20 degrees. The blue shaded area is where temperatures are below normal, but we do start to see a warm up as we get into the weekend, and definitely next week. Watch how those brighter colors start to work their way in. So that's coming. But in the meantime, the weekend should be nice for outdoor activities. We'll see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Again, 47 for tomorrow. It'll be mostly sunny, but a little chilly. Sunday, though, a little above normal with high temperatures in the mid-50s. We may see a bit more cloud cover, but it certainly will be warmer. I'll show you which day next week we could see temperatures in the 60s coming up.
32 members of the Raleigh Police Department received promotions today. At that ceremony, Chief Estella Patterson took some time to talk about Officer Max Gillick. He's the officer critically injured during a shootout earlier this week. Patterson says Gillick was hit while protecting a victim in that shooting and shared this message for the officer.
Our collective prayers are making a difference. And Max, if you can hear us from your room, we are praying for you, and we are praying for a speedy and a full recovery. Keep fighting and stay RPD strong. We love you, and we got you.
And a lot of people have been asking, and RPD wants you to know, cards and well wishes can be sent to the Raleigh Police Department on Six Forks Road. Patterson says a report on the shooting should be released sometime early next week.
Today marks 1 week since that deadly shooting at a North Hills restaurant. Raleigh police say the restaurant's head chef, George Colum, shot and killed server Jonathan Schaefer. A Coquette employee tells WRAL she was at work when the confrontation happened, and she says she believes Colum targeted Schaefer over a dispute about a woman. Another worker was shot in the hand.
And it's happening right now in the WRAL Live Center. The city of Raleigh is looking for its next chief of police. This is the page there that I'm showing you. This is the form that you can fill out to become the next chief of police. They say they are looking for an exceptional leader with a bachelor's degree in public administration and at least 10 years of related experience. They say, like other cities and towns across the country, Raleigh is growing rapidly, and an expanding population demands increased public safety services and a proactive approach to addressing gun violence. Candidates can apply on the city's website.
A big celebration today in Holly Springs, where biopharmaceutical giant Amgen is opening its new facility and starting work on another one. The company decided to double its advanced manufacturing capacity in North Carolina with a total of more than 700 jobs. WRAL's Laura Leslie is live in Holly Springs, where a ribbon cutting ceremony just wrapped up. Laura.
Yeah, Renee, it's not every day that you have both a ribbon cutting and also a groundbreaking at the same event, but that's exactly what happened here today in Holly Springs. Amgen cut the ribbon on their new advanced manufacturing facility they broke ground on about 3 years ago, but then they broke ground on another one at the same time. The total investment here in the site is more than $1 billion. Well, CEO Bob Bradway said Amgen decided to double its manufacturing capacity here because global demand for its drugs is growing very quickly. About 250 people are already working at the first manufacturing facility here, and they're expecting to hire more than another 400 more people in the next coming years. This average salary for those jobs, $91,000, which is well above the average for Wake County.
In addition to creating economic opportunity at Holly Springs, this plant will further strengthen our ability to provide uninterrupted supply of our medicines to heart disease, cancer, and patients suffering from other serious illnesses.
Now, the expansion was made possible in part by tens of millions of dollars in state and local incentives, including a customized advanced manufacturing certificate program at Wake Tech. Amgen is also planning an 18-month apprenticeship program, basically training on the job for pay. Its first class of apprentices is starting here this month. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Holly Springs.
President Donald Trump is in Asheville this noon hour to get a firsthand account of the relief efforts following Hurricane Helene. Air Force One touched down in Asheville just about an hour ago, and WRAL's Ken Smith is tracking the president's trip to western North Carolina. Ken.
You know, Jeff, the president will be on the ground in Asheville for the next hour or two. Now, when he and the First Lady landed in Asheville, they were greeted by Governor Josh Stein and some state GOP officials. After getting a briefing about Helene, the damage the storm caused, and the relief efforts, the president will tour some of those areas still recovering. Now, before he left the airport, the president talked about his visit and was again critical of FEMA and offering up his own concept of federal relief efforts moving forward.
I'd like to see the states take care of disasters. Let the state take care of the tornadoes and the hurricanes and all of the other things that happen. And I think you're going to find it a lot less expensive. You'll do it for less than half, and you're going to get a lot quicker response.
Well, President Trump says his administration plans to look at the whole concept of FEMA. We should note FEMA has been on the ground in the western part of North Carolina since Helene hit. Now, interestingly enough, the president says any federal funding moving forward will come through the White House and not FEMA. Well, of course, there'll likely be quite a bit of discussion in Congress about that concept. We'll, of course, have more on the president's trip online on WRAL News Plus, our news app, as well as our news starting at 4 right here on WRAL.
Thank you, Ken. His first stop since his administration took over. Now, the next stop on President Trump's agenda is Los Angeles, where he will participate in a walking tour in the Palisades to survey the damage from the wildfires. President Trump invited Senator Adam Schiff to join him for the tour. A Democrat from California said he greatly appreciates the offer, but he was unable to make it because of previously scheduled nomination votes.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news out of Apex, there is an overturned vehicle on Holly Springs New Hill Road. This is video here from Sky 5. You can see this big truck on the side here. The road is shut down in both directions. Again, this is Holly Springs New Hill Road. This is near Bass Lake Road. Officials say that the road should be shut down until about 3:30 today. We are working to learn if anybody was in that truck, what happened, how many people were in that truck. As soon as we get more information on this, as well as if there were any injuries, we'll bring it to you here in the Live Center.
Michelle, thanks. Next at noon, definitely not a bag full of drugs. So what was in the bag that got this woman thrown in jail?
Also, rain of terror. Why some rainfall on the way to California might not be the best thing for wildfire victims.
And police believe they know what contributed to this crash in Johnston County, what both drivers are accused of doing.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
The former interpreter for Shohei Ohtani will be sentenced next month for impersonating the LA Dodgers star to steal money from him. Federal prosecutors recommended a prison sentence of 57 months for Ippei Mizuhara. However, his lawyers asked for a fraction of the time, just 18 months. Mizuhara was fired last year after an investigation revealed he wired millions of dollars from Ohtani's account to pay off an illegal bookmaker.
A Florida woman is back in jail for the second time this month, charged with illegal drug possession. This time, she's being held without bond. The irony here is that a rather comically misleading bag led to her arrest, at least an attempt here. The woman was a passenger in the vehicle that got pulled over by a deputy. The driver consented to a vehicle search, and that's when the officer found meth and other drug-related paraphernalia in a bag belonging to the passenger that read this: "Definitely not a bag full of drugs." That was the quote. That's what it was labeled, but that's exactly what it was. Today, the defense team for Brian Kohberger will continue to challenge key pieces of evidence in court, specifically DNA evidence collected that linked him to the scene. The former PhD student is accused of stabbing 4 University of Idaho students to death on their off-campus apartment, and his lawyers say several stages of the investigation violated the defendant's privacy rights.
President Trump's nominee to become Secretary of Defense has cleared a key hurdle. Senators voted 51-49 yesterday to advance Pete Hegseth's bid. 2 Republicans opposed his appointment alongside all 47 Democrats. Hegseth is an Army combat veteran and a former Fox News host. He's faced allegations of alcohol abuse and sexual assault. He denies those claims. However, the Associated Press reports he confirmed to a senator during the confirmation process that he paid $50,000 to a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017. Hegseth will now face a final confirmation vote before assuming the role. John Ratcliffe is the new director of the CIA. Vice President J.D. Vance swore him in after the Senate voted to confirm him. The former Texas representative served as the director of national intelligence during Trump's first term in office. He was a Trump defender during the House's first impeachment hearings while he served in Congress. And during the confirmation hearing, Ratcliffe said he would not politicize his work.
Firefighters in Southern California have finally gotten the upper hand on most of the destructive wildfires that have been burning out of control. NBC's Liz Kreutz explains why rain in this weekend's forecasts could bring a whole new set of problems.
This morning, parts of Southern California still burning. Overnight, a new fire growing near San Diego. Flames from the border fire spreading in a remote mountain area, burning through over 800 acres. Firefighters working to contain it this morning and evacuation orders issued. As the smoke from the Hughes fire still fills the sky north of Los Angeles, more than 10,000 acres scorched in less than 2 days. But firefighters now say they have it under control, along with the other major fires that devastated communities earlier this month, like Pacific Palisades and Altadena. California Governor Gavin Newsom announcing legislation directing $2.5 billion to help with recovery efforts.
This money will be made available immediately.
Conditions in the lower half of the state ripe for fire. For the first time in more than 2 years, Southern California is experiencing what experts call extreme drought. San Diego recording its driest start to winter in recorded history. But now, with rain on the way, wet weather could provide both relief and danger for burn-scarred land, including concerns over mudslides.
What can happen when there's rain so close to these massive fires?
You get a large debris flow, mud flow coming off of these hillsides that no longer have the brush to stabilize the dirt.
Crews are installing barriers to prevent hazardous runoff from toxic ash as residents continue to pick up the pieces and rebuild.
There's nothing there to stop that from coming off the hills once that rain gets flowing and gets those mudslides going. Houses, trees, nothing's there.
Amazing. You would think that the rain would be helpful, but then too much of it, that can be a problem.
A little bit would be okay. Yeah. We're just glad to be warming up just a little bit here. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with that sunshine.
Yeah, it looks nice out. We'll take a look here at downtown Raleigh from our Jimmy V camera. Looking down Fayetteville Street, people still bundled up. It looks like it's maybe a little bit breezy down Fayetteville Street right now, but generally we're not going to have a whole lot of wind today. It's going to be a little lighter than it was yesterday. We didn't have really a wind chill to have to deal with this morning. We are out of the 30s. 42 degrees is our current temperature. We've been seeing highs in the 30s the last several days when that snow was coming down and it was lying around on the ground, making things feel really chilly. 40 in Southern Pines and Clinton, 40 in Goldsboro, 41 and Rocky Mount, and some upper 30s up around Roxborough and South Hill. Around town this afternoon, looking at mid 40s for the most part. I mean, we're sitting at 42, so it's possible that we would make it up to maybe 46 or 47. But anyway, somewhere in the mid 40s is what we're looking at today. And we'll see partly cloudy skies, seeing just a little bit of cloud cover out there. Temperatures will drop quickly again overnight tonight, down to 19 in Southern Pines, 21 in Goldsboro, 17 Roxborough, and 19 in South Hill. And tomorrow afternoon is going to feel a lot like this afternoon. We'll climb back into the mid 40s. It has been a very cold January. The 36 degrees here is an average of the highs and the lows that we've seen every day in January. And that puts us at 5.5 degrees below normal. Of course, if you remember December, it was fairly mild. As a matter of fact, it was 68 degrees on New Year's Eve. So it was a lot warmer in December. So winter as a whole is not looking that much colder than normal, but boy, January definitely is. We're continuing to see below normal temperatures across a lot of the country. The blue shaded area is where temperatures are below normal. And then we'll see a wind shift as we get into early next week. And that's going to help to bring some warmth in from the south, from the Gulf of Mexico, and really start to bump up our temperatures. So for tomorrow morning, looking at temperatures close to 20, 22, and then 47 during the afternoon. We'll likely see skies clouding up a little bit on Sunday. We'll get back into more of a southerly flow. It's going to push a little more moisture in, but it will also warm us up into the mid 50s, which is pretty close to normal. We'll see that again on Monday. And then that flow gets even stronger, that southerly flow bringing us almost 60 on Tuesday and 63 on Wednesday, mostly dry too. Okay, we do have warm winter days. As a matter of fact, the average for the last 10 years or so in January is to have 6 or 8 days in the 60s, and in February, 9 to 10 days in the 60s. Now, the average high is still in the 50s. As a matter of fact, in January, we averaged 2 70-degree days. Well, this January, we're not seeing any of that. We're seeing a few 60s. We'll see 63 on Wednesday, but of course, looking a little bit cooler after that. So we're looking mostly dry. We do have a small chance of a shower early Monday. I'll show you who's more likely to see that during the morning commute coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Avoiding red dye. Today on WRAL News at 4, the steps you can take to steer clear of the synthetic coloring in food, beverages, and medicines before the ban takes place in the next 2 years.
And encouraging students at 5:30, the latest grant to help students in Durham pursue health careers and the unique way they'll be able to take advantage of those programs. Plus, still ahead at noon, say goodbye to cookie cutter rentals, how a new trend is helping people explore the world with the luxuries of home.
Plus, acceptable airline attire. Coming up, new rules for passengers flying on Spirit Airlines.
Nearly 2 months after Brian Thompson was murdered on the streets of Manhattan, United Healthcare announces the man who will replace him now. Company veteran Tim Noel will replace Thompson. Noel joined the company in 2007 and was the head of the company's Medicare and Retirement division. Luigi Mangione is charged with first and second degree murder in Thompson's death. If convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Walmart might be known for its often low prices, but that is translating to big paychecks for some employees. The biggest retail chain in the U.S. is implementing sweeping pay raises. Some top market managers who oversee roughly a dozen stores will now make more than $600,000 a year.
Spirit Airlines is updating its dress code policy for passengers. Spirit specifically addresses clothing and tattoos that will no longer be allowed on board. Anyone wearing see-through, lewd, obscene, offensive, or revealing clothing or body art may be denied boarding or removed from flights. The new policy comes after 2 women were recently kicked off a Spirit flight for wearing crop tops. Delta Airlines will soon resume service from the U.S. to Israel. Daily direct flights from JFK Airport in New York to Tel Aviv will begin in April. Delta halted service for several months following Hamas's attack on Israel in October of 2023. Airline officials decided to resume service after a comprehensive security review.
After the last 3 days of snow and ice and frigid temperatures, lots of people are likely thinking about getting away to a warmer climate. A new trend is making that more affordable. Home exchanging is a way to go on vacation without paying for a hotel. Travelers swap homes, not money, with other travelers from around the world. A few different companies help coordinate these swaps, such as Kindred Home Exchange and People Like Us Home Exchange.
Home swapping has been skyrocketing in popularity over the past few years, especially since the pandemic, as travel costs have increased and also people's flexibility and desire to travel has increased.
The platforms charge a small membership fee, but hosts never exchange money for it.
The winners have been announced for the 10th annual WRAL Voters' Choice Awards. The awards celebrate the best local businesses across the Triangle. Big winners this year include Catering by Design and its owner Philip Lynn, who was named Boss of the Year. Other winners this year include Duck Donuts for Best Donuts, Angus Barn for Best Steak, and Redneck Barbecue Lab for Best Barbecue. Oakwood Pizza Box won for Best Pizza. Winners were determined by your online nominations and votes. You can see the full list on WRAL.com/VCAs. President Trump is in Asheville right now, touring the damage caused by Hurricane Helene. How people there are reacting to his visit.
And removing the shroud of secrecy. With the stroke of a pen, President Trump gives Americans access to papers on 3 assassinations. And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen right now. Renee and I'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
In just a few hours, Durham Public Schools Superintendent Anthony Lewis will provide an update on the district's financial status after a $7 million budget shortfall was discovered. The shortfall comes after the district overcame a pay dispute with employees last year. Lewis will deliver an overview of where things stand for the district and explain the budgeting process for the year ahead. Today's news conference begins at 3 p.m. and we'll keep you updated on WRAL News beginning at 4 p.m.
And right now in the WRAL Live Center, President Trump is in North Carolina right now speaking with reporters. He said we are going to do a lot for North Carolina. He spoke ahead of touring areas that were badly hit by Hurricane Helene. This is a live look in Asheville right now. You can see they're all waiting for him to arrive there to speak. He says we are going to visit the site. We are going to work with Republican congressmen there whose areas have been affected. Listen to what he had to say.
Then I'll be taking strong action to get North Carolina the support that you need to quickly recover and rebuild. We're working on it very hard.
And something else that we are following this afternoon, we've also learned that President Trump has terminated Dr. Anthony Fauci's security detail that was being provided for and also paid for by the National Institutes of Health. Fauci says he will now hire his own security detail and pay for it himself.
Military aircraft are now being used to deport migrants. This morning, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt shared images of migrants lined up, handcuffed, and boarding a military aircraft. The first flights there departed Biggs Airport, or Army Airfield, I should say, in El Paso last night. They were bound for Guatemala. Meanwhile, President Trump is speaking out on another issue, saying he would be willing to host some of the pardoned January 6th rioters at the White House.
They were protesting a crooked election. I mean, people understand that also. And they were treated very badly. Nobody's been treated like that. So I'd be open to it, certainly.
In a Fox News interview that aired Wednesday night, Trump called the attacks on the police very minor incidents. Approximately 140 Capitol Police officers were injured by rioters, making it one of the most violent days for law enforcement in recent U.S. history.
Doctors call the maternal death rate in the U.S. unacceptably high. Sadly, many of those deaths are preventable. Mandy Gaither has the maternal health risks everyone should know about and explains why access to care remains a major problem.
It's considered one of the world's most powerful countries, but when it comes to maternal health, the U.S. remains weak. For every 100,000 live births in 2022, there were about 22 maternal deaths, with Black women being the most affected. That death rate is more than double, sometimes triple those seen in most other high-income countries that year.
It's an ongoing concern, and we're doing lots of things to try to bring those numbers down and get us into a better space.
Dr. Sarah Sams with the American Academy of Family Physicians says many of the maternal deaths are preventable, some linked to chronic diseases like obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. She says establishing care early on in a pregnancy is critical, but not everyone has easy access to that care.
Family physicians still provide maternity care in many areas, and especially in rural and underserved areas, kind of trying to alleviate some of those maternity deserts.
Sam says having a healthy diet, exercising, avoiding smoking, alcohol, and drugs play a big role in a healthy pregnancy. And since many maternal deaths happen up to a year after birth, she says postpartum care is also critical, especially if gestational diabetes or hypertension were present in pregnancy.
That was Mandy Gaither reporting. Another major concern after pregnancy is postpartum depression. It's important for women to continue to visit their doctor after giving birth to be screened for mental health struggles. Black moms are twice as likely to die in childbirth than white mothers in North Carolina. The WRAL documentary unit examined the maternal and infant crisis. Critical Term examines the steps being taken to address the situation. You can watch Critical Term anytime on WRALdoc.com.
Trying to get more information on why there was this large police presence in Fayetteville this morning. The WRAL breaking news tracker was there to capture this video around 1 a.m. on Cliffdale Road near South Riley Road. Police tape surrounded a gray Mercedes as officers investigated. We've reached out to Fayetteville Police. We are waiting for a response. State Highway Patrol believes alcohol was a factor in a deadly crash near Benson just after midnight. One man is dead. 3 others are in the hospital after this crash. State Highway Patrol tells us the driver of the white car crossed into the other lane, hitting the truck. The driver of that white car died. Both drivers are suspected of driving impaired.
The city of Raleigh wants your input on ways to improve pedestrian safety downtown. They started the Glenwood South Safety Pilot Survey. Leaders are looking to improve the area of Glenwood Avenue to North Street and Johnson Street areas. The survey will be open until February 28th. You can find it on the city's website.
Declassified. President Trump orders the release of documents related to the assassinations of leaders like JFK and MLK. Why Trump says he is making them public.
It will soon be 80 years since the liberation of the most infamous Holocaust extermination camp. How survivors of Auschwitz plan to mark the anniversary. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
I'll give you this live look right now. Pinehurst Resort and Country Club, home of the famed Pinehurst #2. They've peeled back that covering off the putting green. Away people can go. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. President Trump ordered the government to declassify numerous documents, including those related to 3 hotly debated assassinations. President John F. Kennedy, his younger brother Robert F. Kennedy, and the civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., all killed in the 1960s. Questions and conspiracy theories about who was behind each murder have swirled for decades. Mr. Trump says releasing files related to their killings will end the mystery surrounding them.
On Monday, the world will commemorate 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz, a Nazi extermination camp in occupied Poland. That camp has become a symbol of the Holocaust. Here's NBC's Jay Gray.
Auschwitz is part memorial, part museum, a place that, of course, marks the horrors of the past, but also honors those who died here and the survivors of these camps. It also tells stories that are important to continue the legacy of this camp. And when we hear from the survivors, many who are gathering now for the 80th anniversary, they talk about those horrors, but they also share messages of hope.
Hate and bigotry has no place in this world. And hopefully the lesson is we need to stand up to that.
The official ceremony commemorating the liberation of this camp is set for Monday. Leaders, dignitaries from around the world will travel here, but none of those will speak. That day is reserved for the voices, the stories of the survivors, and we expect on that day to see as many as 50 of them make the journey back. Jay Gray, NBC News, Auschwitz.
And survivors now just children back then. Prepare for a sizzling Super Bowl halftime show. The Songstress who will be helping out rocking the Superdome right there.
Plus, serving up a pricey pizza, the topping that could cost customers a lot of dough.
Be sure to check out the NFC Championship game on Fox 50 this Sunday. The Philadelphia Eagles host the Washington Commanders. Kickoff of that is at 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. And the winner of that game will go on to the Super Bowl. And that is where they will play the winner of the game between the Bills and Chiefs later in the day. Super Bowl 59, while we're on it, makes history this year in New Orleans. That's when Pulitzer Prize-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar welcomes Grammy-winning singer SZA as a special guest during halftime. What a show that will be. The Not Like Us rapper made the announcement with a video where a playful SZA dumps the cooler of Gatorade right there on him. Lamar making the announcement following the news. The longtime friends and collaborators, they will go on tour together in April.
We typically don't get a whole lot of snow in the Triangle, but this time, 25 years ago, our area got a record 23 inches of snow. The snow started falling January 24th and kept falling into the next day. The storm knocked out power to more than 100,000 homes and businesses. Schools and businesses were shut down for more than a week as the area tried to dig out. People who experienced that epic snow will never forget it. One Durham couple credits a snowstorm for sparking their love story. So back in January of 2000, Maggie and Mike Humble had not yet met, but they lived in the same condo building. After the storm, Maggie brushed the snow off a few cars, including Mike's, and he found out from other neighbors it was her and wanted to say thank you. Mike baked some homemade cinnamon rolls and knocked on her door. They chatted for hours that day, learning they had much in common.
And we were snowed in for over 4 days. And so we would invite each other to dinner and we'd talk all night. And there was, of course, basketball did not stop in the snow, which is fabulous. So we watched the ball game on that Saturday. And Mike invited me to brunch one morning. And so it was just
invited me to dinner one night.
Yeah, but it was just like these 5 or 6 days in a row where you could get out, but it was risky. So you tried not to get out, But we had this concentrated time to get to know each other, which was fabulous.
8 months later, they were engaged, and 6 months after that, they were married. They love it whenever it snows, and every year, the Humbles mark the day they met with cinnamon rolls. To mark that first day anniversary, this April, they will celebrate 24 years of marriage. And at their wedding, they played the song Let It Snow.
Oh, come on.
Oh, yes.
Cinnamon
that's
rolls,
their song.
Let It Snow. And he's
it's
wearing
a Hallmark movie.
He's got a Carolina shirt on. She's got a Duke's shirt on. They can get through anything together.
House divided, but united by snow. See?
Right. It is perfect. But love the love story. So good.
Are we going to get any more snow for any snow-ins, Elizabeth? February looks warm.
You got to give me one more story. I told 2 stories this morning. I've got one more to tell. So I was working weekend evenings and used to staying up late. And I remember it started to snow, and my future husband, fiance, we were hanging out and watching it snow, and it just got deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, let's grab our snowboards and go to the park. And we were about to walk out the door, and the phone rang, and I forget which boss it was. The boss said, Mike Mays can't get in. Can you come in? I'm like, I haven't even slept tonight. I was getting ready to go snowboarding, and so I went into work, and so it's so much fun. It was amazing. It was a giant hassle. I know it was like 2 weeks. Kids were out of school, but it was super exciting for us snow lovers. And Renee, we probably won't ever see anything like that. We may not see any more snow this season. I'll show you why coming up in just a few minutes. A little bit of cloud cover there in Apex, as well as up in Fayetteville, Chapel Hill, Raleigh. So partly cloudy skies for us this afternoon, but that won't stop us from warming up into the 40s. We're already into the 40s. The next precipitation that we may see could be Monday. That's look at the morning. A little bit of rain in our southern counties during the morning commute on Monday. That may end up a little farther south or a little farther north, so check in, of course, with us early Monday morning. We'll let you know if it's going to cause any issues for us. And then warmer next week. Our temperatures will climb on up into the 60s. So if you are tired of these cold temperatures that we've seen this week, we're about to turn it around. This high pressure system will slide eastward and eventually start to push some warmth up into our area. It's still chilly today, though. A little bit of precipitation falling back into the mountains. Might be a snow flurry up near the Virginia line, but nothing that's going to accumulate anywhere. Our next best chance of rain, again, is Monday, and at this point, it's only a 20% chance. Again, a lot of that should be in our southern counties. So we're giving a green light to outdoor plans. It may be that a lot of folks have been cooped up. It's been really cold, so still chilly tomorrow with temperatures in the mid-40s, but we'll see partly cloudy skies. On Sunday, the clouds may thicken up a little bit, but we'll warm up into the mid-50s, and that will feel significantly warmer than what we've seen. As people are getting out and about, they may notice, of course, that we've got some ponds that are frozen, rivers, and that sort of thing. Make sure that your kids know, and you know too, that no ice is safe here in central North Carolina. It was cold for a while, but it's never going to be thick enough for it to be safe to walk on here, so just keep that in mind. The last 6 winter seasons, we've actually seen anywhere from 1.5 inches to about 2.5 inches, except the 2 winters previous to this winter, we got pretty much nothing. So back to 2.2. That's what we've seen so far this month. Let's talk about what our chances are of seeing any more. This is not a guarantee. This is just looking at trends. Our trend for the first week of February is for above normal precipitation. So, okay, plus in the precipitation column, but that first week of February also, we have a chance of above normal temperatures. That would be minus in the temperature column, at least for any more snow. We take a look at February at a whole. We can look at the trend for February, and it does look like we may be trending warmer than normal. Normal for this time of year is around 54. So if we're above that, that doesn't really get us very close to seeing snow. The overnight low this time of year also is around 34, so just a little bit above freezing. So we shall see. We typically this time of year have a big roller coaster ride that we go on with our temperatures, and it may be that it gets cold enough, but right now it doesn't look that likely. Mid-40s today and tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, don't forget, it's going to be really cold. Also Sunday morning, we're still in the 20s. Our morning low finally by Tuesday morning is above freezing, and then we'll keep climbing to almost 60 on Tuesday, around 63 degrees on Wednesday, and then back to normal on Thursday. So we're going to settle into some warmer temperatures next week.
It looks like it. I
Very
dig
nice.
It. Yes. Not me, but some people just have expensive taste.
How much customers are willing to pay for this pizza?
We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. More than 180 criminal cases in Wake County have been dismissed over concerns about the credibility of 2 troopers. The Wake County District Attorney said she was made aware of the concerns about the handling of a deadly DWI crash that happened in October. After reviewing the body camera video and the dash camera footage, the DA launched a larger investigation. As a result, more than 180 cases were dismissed. The majority of those involved driving while impaired charges.
President Donald Trump is in western North Carolina right now, visiting with victims of Helene. He arrived in Asheville around 11 a.m. Trump will tour areas devastated by Helene. And speaking to the press, the president says he plans to reform FEMA or get rid of the agency altogether. He urged states to use their resources instead of FEMA.
Today, biopharmaceutical giant Amgen celebrated the opening of its new facility and started work on a new one at the same time. The total investment is more than $1 billion. The CEO says Amgen is doubling its manufacturing capacity in Holly Springs to meet the global demand for its drugs. About 250 people already work at Amgen, and they plan to hire about 400 more over the next few years.
The Museum of Modern Art in New York launched an exciting new exhibit featuring NASA's iconic logo. The sleek redo logotype was designed in 1976. It symbolized a bold, modern era of space exploration. The so-called worm logo, along with the original NASA Graphics Standards Manual, are now a part of the museum's permanent collection. The exhibit runs through October 18th.
People who love ham and pineapple on their pizza will have to pay a pretty penny at one restaurant. Lupa Pizza in Norwich, England says anyone who orders a Hawaiian pizza will need to cough up 100 pounds. That's 123 American dollars. The owners say the ad started as a joke from their hatred for pineapples on pizza, but it is actually available if customers have to have it.
We feel like it doesn't suit pizza at all, and we're not really sure why it's a thing. Obviously, there's lots of people who do like it, and we have had requests for it in the past.
So the head chef says there are other goodies included with that big order, $123. I'd hope so. According to a British polling site, more than half of people in Britain like or love pineapple on pizza.
Oh, it's a thing in our family. We love pineapple. We love pepperoni and pineapple pizza.
Oh.
Try it.
You skipped the ham, okay.
Our pet of the day is a ham of a cat from the SPCA of Wake County. Meet Biggie Cheese. It's the only name that could ever suit this 7-year-old tabby. Biggie Cheese has a lot of options, and you'll be sure to start learning them soon after meeting him. He's friendly and affectionate, though he's been a little shy adjusting to being in the shelter. Biggie has done well with kids in the past, though his feelings about dogs and other cats are not yet known. His adoption fee is just $65. For more information, please visit spcawake.org.
Coming up on WRAL News at 4, avoiding red dye 3, the steps you can take to steer clear of using the synthetic coloring in food, beverages, and medicines before the ban takes place in the next 2 years. Pizza, Biggie Cheese, I'm thinking lunch.
I know.
Okay.
Are you a pineapple on the pizza?
I can do it.
Yeah, okay, you're in that camp.
Ham, whatever.
All right, we gotta get lunch now. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Take this site in. Have a great day. Beautiful weekend ahead.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.